This Reddit user is asking, is imposter syndrome real? This is just something I'm really curious about since I've been hearing about this more and more from other leaders. Leaders/managers, especially those who had to transition from an IC role to a leadership role within the same company. Do you ever experience imposter syndrome? Have you experienced imposter syndrome, and what did you go through? What is that like? And what did you do about it? Let's keep reading. You know that your job is now focused on strategy, coaching, planning, and helping others succeed, but because that work isn't as visible as the immediate results you used to get as an IC, do you ever feel like something is wrong or that you're not doing enough? Ooh, such a huge question, and I myself have felt it in the past, and I'm curious to know if you've ever felt this before. How did you deal with it? Or if you're now leading others, how do you help them overcome it? At what point is that feeling actually valid, if at all? And when is it overthinking? Would love to hear your experience. I mean, this is a valid question. And this is something that comes up very often in a lot of people, a lot of leaders who take on positions that they think is a higher position than the original one before. And this is when this feeling of, is this is bigger than me, starts creeping up. And I'm curious to know what your reaction to this. Here is an answer. Of course, it's real, but those experiencing it have a hard time naming it. My hypothesis is the criteria for selecting leaders of people ought to be predominantly based on the demonstration of or potential for leading people to deliver results effectively. However, most practices involve rewarding people with promotions for their IC contributions or favors, and they hope at best these people learn to lead people and deliver results through people. And by there's a lot of people in there, by making mistakes and learning from them. Okay, this is a very long post, but I know where he's or she is going with this, and I've seen this happen. Most people get promoted because they're really good at that thing that they're doing, right? It's not necessarily people management, it's just doing the thing. And then because you're super good at this, they promote you to a manager where now you're in charge of 15 plus people. And you who did not have the skill, you were not trained for this skill to actually develop people or manage people. And that's when you feel the imposter syndrome. And that's one way. Okay. There's other places, other ways where you could be feeling imposter syndrome that has nothing to do with this. But I agree with this, because most people in leadership positions were promoted based on their brilliant work prior to management. And then they got promoted, but they were never actually handed the tools on how to actually handle that new position or role. All right, that one is a really long post. So let's go find another answer. Yep, I get imposter syndrome every time I change locations for my job. Always takes me a month to get my leadership legs back. Not sure why. I think I just need to know my employees as people before I feel comfortable asking them to adhere to my standards and expectations. And I agree with that too. I think everybody needs to get their footing straight, need to know the lay of the land. And there's no shame in asking questions and learning from the people there before you about your own job. Let's just do one more before I get into what I think is happening here. This one says, imposter syndrome is where you feel like you shouldn't be in the position you are in as a manager. Like, obviously, if a company thinks you are that, but yourself don't see how you got into the role you're in, or suddenly everyone is listening to you and your ideas. Most people feel that they may not be ready. They feel if the people around you know more than you do. And that's the other myth too. Being promoted to a management position, you think now you have to know everything. Well, you don't actually. You just have to make the strategic decisions. You have to coach. You have to train. You have to be there for people to listen. You have to be the mediator, but you don't have to know every single thing in your department. This is why we have people who are specialists who specialize in those things so they can do the job and you can supervise that to make sure that there's accuracy, it's being submitted in a timely manner, that they get the support they needed. And that's really your position. You're not supposed to know everything. Now, what I think about imposter syndrome is this, and this is something I heard and I don't recall where, and it made super sense to me. And is that when people who experience imposter syndrome are the people who are highly capable and they're highly self-aware, and that is why they feel that they don't want to let their people down. Now, people who, and let's face it, there's a lot of people who get into management positions and they're just drums, they're full of air, and they just made it because of, how loud they were. They don't feel and they don't experience imposter syndrome because they were busy jumping up and down to get that position. But most people who are supposed to be in leadership and management positions are the ones who can hold such a position of the way they actually work with others. And you have to remember, the best part about working with others, managing others, is being able to humanize them and work with them as a human being rather than the job that they're doing, right? So if you are the loud person who's running after that management position and they put you there, you're never going to feel imposter syndrome, or you may feel it and dismiss it. But the people who are highly capable, highly aware of themselves, that's when they feel imposter syndrome. And they think, and that's the other thing, they couple that with the myth that they need to know everything. You do not need to know everything. You're doing great. What you need to do is acknowledge that you are in a new place, you are learning new things, you're expanding your self, you're stretching your horizons into new places, and you're getting on new things, and it's going to take you time. Acknowledge that you are highly capable, but you're going to need time to learn all of this, and ask. The thing that I personally did that really helped me out is I walked around the floor and I asked every single individual to learn from them what they do, what's their job, how do they do it, how can I support them, how can I make their life easier. I may not be able to know exactly what they are doing or to specifically help them with the technicalities of it, but I can support other ways, and that's what I asked. So do something like that, and don't feel bad at the end of the day because you're expanding. Imposter syndrome, to me, is a great thing.